Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel and a new video. I know a lot of you avid viewers have been itching for us to get back on the Escort RS Turbo. So in the last video, if you remember, I actually took it for an MOT and it failed quite miserably really. We put on a new brake cylinder, brake servo, and it had so much pressure, someone actually pulled out in front of me on the way to MOT, and I ended up hitting the brakes and bursting the pipe on this side rear. Now we have got quite a lot of new parts that we was putting on it, but I'll put on pretty much the bare minimum to take it for an MOT and get it through that MOT. But this time I would really like to get this car MOT'd, because apart from a bit of stripping down, this car is pretty much ready to go to the paint shop. It does need quite a bit of paint work and I would really like to get it done. Unfortunately it's fell too short now to get it off to any shows this year, but I would still like to get it in that paint shop and get it done. So I'm going to put it in the workshop, strip out and find that broken pipe, and also while I'm there actually have a good look at the wheel cylinders, because we've got new ones for it, and just make sure that they're all going to be okay, because he continued with the MOT test and the handbrake this side didn't do anything, and we know that the handbrake is actually on a cable. The pipe is nothing to do with it, so we need to get it inside, take a look at it. Also a couple of new bits have turned up, like the airbox. I'd like to remove this piece of chrome off of the fuel filter there, so we're going to get it inside and actually make a start and try and actually get it through that MOT. We know what was advisories and what were failures last time, so to get those advisories done, it will have a clean bill of health this time. So let's get it in and make a start on it. It was definitely that one with the issue. I've got the failure sheet there, and the other side's not brilliant either, but I've just put that all back together. Nice the wheel cylinder with those little bits in them, and that seems to be gripping just about right now with no handbrake on, so I'm quite happy with that. The steering that it failed on was actually a drumstick. Now I reached out to a guy, you can see how old this is. I reached out to a guy that does early Escort parts. He's got quite a few parts, really helpful, and he said a steering rack was about 150 quid, and I thought, you know, that's not spiteful to change the whole rack. Now it didn't need a rack, it was one of these drumsticks, but I thought, you know what, let's have a little ring around, see if we can get a rack. So this is brand new old stock, and I got it from Cats, and they actually had to have it transported down. I think it was up north somewhere, and it was the only one left across their company. And I thought, you know what, for the price of it, I'm going to buy it. It was £60, but there's a surcharge. They didn't charge me the surcharge because they know me. So all I've got to do is return them the old one. So I've been looking at this one to see if this is a refurbed unit, and it doesn't look like it's been painted. It doesn't look like a refurbed unit. So there's a good chance that is a nice new one. And I thought, for that price, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to change the whole rack and change both track rod ends as well, and just have it tracked up. There's only a few little bits to look at on that fail sheet, but for the most part, that was the worst one. I'm going to open up the other side, have a check of that. Again, no point me recording it. It's exactly the same as this side. Now I've just got to take the wheel off, and you've got one little grub screw in there, which will be able to pull that off. That one is binding a little bit more, so maybe that wants releasing off a little bit as well. Or is it because it's been sat out there now for a couple of weeks? Unfortunately, the MOT, you get 2 weeks to take it back after a failure. That has expired, so I'm going to have to pay again anyway. But yeah, what do you think in the comments section? Steering rack. I just thought for the £60 that it was costing, and it is this drumstick, this side, You see that, guys? Dangerous. So I've just changed the whole rack and it's not loads of work to do it. Let's carry on. Guys, this is exactly, I'm done now on the back. This is exactly what I love about old cars. Look, you got one bolt there and a bolt on top. You got one bolt there and a bolt on top, all accessible to get to. You got one bolt on the column in there and you got your two track rod ends. And that is it. Look how much room you get. And there's no pipes going to this. It's not got power steering. I'm not sure what that is. Probably the speedo or the clutch cable, one of them. Cable tied to it there. We'll cut that off and we'll stick some new ones on it. But that simple. Why can't things be that simple nowadays? That's really going to be easy. And you can see one of them goes around that and the other one goes around there. Absolutely fantastic and a doddle to do. So let's get on and get that swapped out. This one is probably the original for the car. So did we put new track rod ends on this? I think we must have. It's already got new ones on it, but it has. It's got two new track rod ends on it and I've bought another two new ones, so I can return them and just use these ones because yeah, they are new. Right, let's get on and get that swapped out. I was actually getting a little bit ahead of myself there, guys. I said it just, those 4 bolts, you got the 113 holding it on the, right on here to the column, but that was actually external. I got inside to have a look at it, and then when it comes to taking it off, I thought, well, that should just slip straight out. In fact, I said it will slip straight out, didn't I? But it won't. It doesn't fit through the hole. So as you can see, all I've done was just took one drumstick off, and then I was able to manoeuvre it that way, drop that end down, and then slide it straight out. So all very, very straightforward. And there's a nice new one now. So I'm going to remove that drumstick off of this end. It's just going to make life a lot easier because clearly it doesn't really go in there with that on there. And I've got to swap those brackets over as well. But yeah, very, very happy and very, very quick job to do. So I'll continue on. Actually, guys, one of you are going to reach out and say, Rob, you didn't actually have to take that drumstick off. And the reason I now know that is because I just put the other one back in without touching it. I haven't removed that drumstick at all. What I did was just put it up here and slid it right the way over to the left-hand side. And there was plenty of room there to just flip that up and bring it back across. But it literally, just the steering column went straight on. I've got the 13 back in there. You can hear it. I haven't tightened it up. Sorry, I nearly dropped my camera then. The 216's back in here. The 216's back in the other side. I did double check these rubbers underneath these brackets and they're perfect. I mean, you can see the weather just doesn't get to them now. So they are in real good condition. So really, really straightforward to do. And as you can see now, that is ready to have the track rod ends screwed on it, both sides, and that's that done. I mean, the amount of time, that's literally just took me half an hour start to finish to completely remove the steering rack and fit a new one. It's just unbelievable. It'd take you normally longer than that to service most cars. The brake line that's burst it is a repair piece already. So it's got a joint in it here, and it's got another joint in it up the back here I saw earlier, but it's actually leaking like right up in the corner of there. I need to clean up this bit of surface rust as well. But yeah, that's the pipe, and that's got a joint in it as well. So we will be replacing that whole piece of pipe. But I'm going to move on and get those track rod ends fitted, and then this can come back down. What we will try and do is we'll try and measure how many teeth are left on this one, just temporarily. I'm not going to put these track rod ends on. They're not ones that we've put on there, but they do look reasonably new. So what I'll do is just count those teeth and get it as accurate as possible, but we'll probably take it for tracking this time before we take it for an MOT. Let's move on and get them track rod ends done. Guys, just before I move on to the next stage of what I'm doing, because Chris is here and I'm going to need his help. So the MOT tester actually says excess play in steering rack. They don't get involved in where it is. And I just assumed drumstick, because that's all we ever really change. Chris, can you do a bit of a demo there? It's actually the steering rack, guys. It's actually collapsed inside there. I suppose there's meant to be a bush in there, isn't there?
Yeah.
And that bush is obviously broke up.
Disintegrated.
Disintegrated. I mean, how long is it going to be before that end fails? So, luckily, we've got a new steering rack. Also, this is not... Sorry, mate, can I get you to hold that for a sec for us? This, guys, this is not an exact science. We know we've got to go and get it tracked up. So I've measured the overall length from there to the edge of the drumstick, because sometimes they do vary slightly in length. And you can see I've written it down there. Just move that back a little bit. 255. So I will check the others. What I've done is clean this up on the bench grinder there, and I'll use a Stanley knife. Chris actually uses a hacksaw blade. And what I'll do, just so that I don't just go through them, 1, 2, 3, etc. And I'm going to count those. And what I'm going to do is wind the other ones back onto the car in exactly the same position, as long as those drumsticks are the same length. And then what we do, it'll be manageable to drive to the...
The drumstick will be the same length. It'll be
the thread
is possibly
different
more or less thread.
Yeah. So once I get that off, I can measure that thread as well. But it'll be a bit further down or a little bit further up. I'm sure you kind of get a gist of what we're saying there. So I am going to count those, measure the other one up, wind them on, and see how we get on. Like I said, guys, far from an exact science, but we got the steering wheel straight there and it's locked. I mean, yeah, that's bang on, steering wheel straight. What do we think? Let's try and... That looks pretty good to me. This side, definitely, that does look straight. I mean, we are going to know when we track it. Does that look straight, guys? It is a guessing game. It looks good to me. And this side, yeah, if anything, I would say it's slightly out at the front. But we're going to know more. You can tell it's been sitting there. Look, they're new, those discs, aren't they? We put new discs and pads on it. I reckon that's going to be good enough to get it to tracking. Right, what's next? Let's have a look at the sheet. There's not, like I said, a great deal to do to this, but I do want to do the advisories as well. Repair immediately, major defects, service brake efficiency below requirements, parking brake efficiency below requirements, brake pipe leaking on hydraulic braking system, steering rack as excessive free play detected at the steering wheel. Steering is affected. So that is it. There's no other advisories on there. So we get it up in the air, we'll do that brake pipe, and of course I'm going to go over all of the bolts I've just done. So the 13 to the column and the 4/16s as well. Don't remember that little dent being in there, but clearly it was. Right, let's move on. I don't mind admitting, guys, that was becoming very, very testing indeed to undo. So this end here, very, very simple. Got both of the brake pipe spanners on it and it come undone lovely. I did pre-lubricate it last night. I actually sprayed it right up. And then down at this end, this was just stuck fast. And the pipe was actually, you know, a bit corroded inside this housing here. So what I ended up doing is getting it to move slightly. The nut the other side was, I just couldn't get a grip on it, the spanner, so I got a nice big pair of mole grips on it. And you can see in the end, once I got it turning, I cut it off the pipe so that I was able to spin it off. But where it's actually failed is right here. It actually had a little clip on it there, a bit like that one there, what actually holds it. And what's happened is the clip's rubbed through it due to vibration or whatever. The pipe actually is a little bit of corrosion on it, definitely none underneath, but a little bit there where it was hiding. So I'm not going to actually move this pipe because I need to make a copy of that pipe, and you've got all the shapes and angles there. So yeah, it was quite a lot of work, but we've got it off, and that is the last little job to do. Probably different ways of doing it, guys. I know everybody does things differently, but that's how I try and do it. Just put a little bit of tape on every corner just to make sure that you've got the right length. A lot of people do make mistakes with a brake pipe and they think, well, you can just stick a bit extra on and that'll be all right, but you have got to lose that and coil it somewhere. So I tend to try and make it exactly the same length as I can. I'm going to get 2 new fittings out, flare the edges over, and get that one bolted back on. But it was quite difficult to get that back bolt off, so this has been quite a time consuming job, but once it's on there, it's fixed the problem. We'll have to bleed all the brakes up again. Fair bit of work there, guys, but all the brake pipes done, all 4 corners now all bled up, all back to how they should be, and the pedal feels lovely. So last time when I did the cam and the service, I never fitted that fuel filter. So I'm going to whip that out, get that changed. Shame really, that strap is chrome, but we're going to have to live with that for the moment. Also, I've got the original airbox. I don't know if I'm going to need some more parts for that. So I'm going to try it on there. I'm going to try to fit it, but there's no rubber gasket inside here. I'm hoping that there is one inside that K&N. So I'm just going to whip that off and try this on, but that's definitely the original for the car, and it's going to look so much nicer with that in there rather than having, sorry, that chrome K&N filter and that big chrome shroud there, that surround. I don't really like it, so let's get that swapped out. Definitely got a gasket missing off the bottom of that airbox, guys, and also somebody at some point has relocated that coil because it's bolted on down here and there's just no room for it. So this is going to be a job for another day. There's obviously quite a large gasket that goes in there. We can see that that clip's broke as well. There was no mention of that on the sale, but that's nothing that a washer can't solve the issue for. And also, I did just realise, obviously I haven't ordered a new filter for it as well, and I don't want to put that in there. So back to the K&N, I'm afraid. That's only temporary, but we get that done and hopefully get this back over for a retest. The other thing, the dump valve. Chris said, oh, I couldn't think of anything worse, Rob. So when I started this up yesterday, I actually took that blank out and I plugged this in. But this must, the diaphragm in here must be gone, because it wouldn't actually run with that. It just kept misfiring. So it was a bit of a wind up. I did find another one in the container and we're going to put it on there. When I come back in the yard after MOT, we'll see what Chris says about it, but only if it runs on it, because like I say, it wouldn't run on the one that was on the car, and I think that's the reason why that had been unplugged. That is it, guys, ready. I'm just going to wash my hands. I've booked it in, got to be there in an hour, so I'll run it down, get some fuel. I'm hoping that battery takes a bit of a charge. It didn't fire up, and I only drove it in here last night, so to be fair, it'll probably be all right on a run. I've checked the oil, checked the water, got the jump pack with me, so fingers crossed, let's go for it and actually get it MOT'd this time. At least that way, if we get a nice weekend, I can pop over and grab it. And I did fit that dump valve, and it's running with it on there, so we'll see what Chris says when I get back. It should be quite funny, his reaction, because like I said, he said, I couldn't think of anything worse, Rob. I don't know why, guys, every time I get in this car, get a little bit nervous. I just stopped at the garage. I didn't want to turn it off. Right at the last minute before I left, I had to change the battery and actually nick the battery off of the ST Fiesta, because that Lion one that was on here was terrible. But now it's like properly warmed up. It has got years MOT on it. It went straight through. All of the jobs have been done and rectified, but now it's warmed right up. The revs keep dipping down really low as if it's going to cut out. So I've just opened the bonnet, just tweaked them up a little bit. I don't want to turn it off, but let's see how far out I am with that tracking. Guys, look at this. Oh, it's gone, Rich. Where's it gone? Oh, is it? Well, there we go. And you just said to me, it actually looks really bad. It's all red. You just said that's all right, didn't you?
It's not perfect, but that arrow should be on the black line there. Normally when people put racks in, you'll find this being either way off that way or way off that way, being an X.
Rich, what I want to know is, have I got the job?
Yeah. when can you start?
Yeah, it's not actually that bad, guys. He said a little bit of adjusting. And I know he's going to give me a discount today because he's got a brand new rack. It's going to make his life 10 times easier. Guys, that's as good as he can get it. Rich, don't worry. That's rear camber.
That's your front camber. Front caster. Just now, that was red. It's now back in the green.
And I said, can you do anything about these? And you said, old RS16Is, you could.
You could, if you put the adjustable camber kit on.
But you can't on this. Is that okay though? It's not going to...
That's okay.
It's acceptable.
It's acceptable. Obviously, they're around the same number. So across, they're only 14 minutes across.
Right.
Ideally, should be in the green cut.
Do you know, I always agree with you, but I have no idea what you're saying. It is French to me. What's that?
So yeah, overall, we're okay.
Right, lovely. Thank you very much. Guys, I just picked Chris up. Obviously, we haven't been out for a test run in this car yet. And I've driven it nice and slowly without boosting it. Oh, mate, you've ruined that. What have you done that for? Oh, mate. It was hanging down in there. That's terrible, isn't it? There's a bit of wind noise, guys, because the windows are open. Chris, I did it for a joke. It was hanging down in there, and we need to get one pipe and remove that T-piece, but the tracking's all done. It's got years MOT on it, and honestly, I think all people have seen coming towards me is my teeth, because I ain't stopped smiling, honestly. It really, really does take you back to your youth. I absolutely love it. There's I don't even know how to explain it. I got the stereo working earlier, and that's even got a 90s classic CD in it. Unfortunately, I can't play it due to copyright. You really don't like that dump valve, Chris, do you?
They annoy me.
Couldn't think of anything worse.
No, they annoy me.
Let's open the window a little bit. It is quite bumpy, this, isn't it? But nowhere near as bumpy as that red one.
Oh no.
I'm not going to kick it to bits because it is a bit annoying, isn't it?
Yeah.
Back in the day though. So guys, you can probably see out the window, it does need a good clean again, but I'm so happy now it's got an MOT. I ain't told Chris yet if it's nice at the weekend. I'm taking this out all weekend and I definitely will. I'm quite excited. Hopefully it don't rain. Right, let's get back to the yard. Just got back to the yard, guys, and I'm still sitting here in it, just soaking it up. I know it's a lot of you think, Rob, you're crazy. It's just an Escort, but honestly, I really do love it, and it just floods back lots and lots of happy memories, and I know it will for quite a lot of you guys as well. I know you had them back in the day, and of course you'd all love to own one now, and I feel very lucky that we do own one. If I had a Series 1, it'd probably be a little bit different. As you know, quite a lot of you, that is my favourite car, and I'd love to own one again, but unfortunately the prices they are at the minute, I definitely won't be buying one anytime soon. But really nice to have this one all MOT'd now and on the button. I've obviously, since I've been back, I've turned it off, turned it on. Now I'm back here and it fires up, no problem at all. That tick over seems to be absolutely spot on and working perfect, and I just couldn't be happier with it. I was just having a chat with Chris after we cut that little bit of video and said, mate, what are we going to do with this? Where are we going to go with it? Our painter that we use, he's flat out at the moment. There is still lots of little new bits and pieces that we need to do to this car. Like, there's nothing wrong with the lower arms that are on there, but we've got two nice new shiny clean ones for it. That airbox does need to go on, various other little bits and pieces, so not really sure where we're going at the moment. I mean, we will plan another video for it and hopefully get a lot of those bits done. The paintwork, I just don't know. We're just undecided. Do we put it into the paint shop, have it painted and then sell it? Because ultimately that is what we do. This car will be for sale. We're not going to keep it. Or do we get it all perfect, get them lower arms on, go through and get rid of all of the bits we've got for it, replace them with new, and then sell it as it is, needing a paint job? We just don't know at the moment. So I think by the time we do another video, we get all them bits fitted and I will give you all an update of what we're actually going to do with it. And of course, if we do decide to let it go early, and even if we don't, if we do have the paintwork done, when it is for sale, it will be on Instagram. Once it's on Instagram, it'll be for sale. So that is going to be the end of today's video, guys. As usual, we do hope that you did enjoy it, and if you do, please do hit that thumbs up. It really does mean a lot to us. It makes us continue want to make these videos, spurs us to continue on. Don't forget, please like, subscribe, share on all your social networking sites, and we'll see you very soon in the next one.